welcome to the Ultimate Property Management Virtual Masterclass brought to you by Real Estate Investor. This is day one of our two-day masterclass, which is officially sponsored by WeConnectU, who are developers of intelligent property management software to enable you to scale and deliver more value to your clients. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Neil Peterson. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of Real Estate Investor, and we've been serving the South African residential and commercial real estate industry for almost 14 years now through our digital magazine, live events, online content, videos, podcasts, and webinars with insights, education, expert tips, and investment opportunities for newbie and savvy investors, home buyers, landlords, developers, and for all of you, the property professionals and practitioners in the industry. And I'm really excited and honored to be your host and moderator for this virtual masterclass today. Property management is such an important and critically important factor in owning and investing property today. Our topic is building a scalable property management business. Now, today we're specifically talking to body corporates, homeowners, homeowner associations, property managers, and definitely because of lockdown and COVID-19, we've seen that property management has now become such a critical skill. So it has been a big catalyst in shifting property managers to becoming more tech-enabled in operating their businesses, and it's critical for more efficiency and most importantly, to deliver for your clients. So in this masterclass today, we will introduce you to both experts in their field who will also showcase business best practice, how PropTech and digital tools can assist community, sectional title, homeowner associations, rental portfolio managers, and investors to build a more compliant, manageable, scalable, and profitable business. Many detractors say that property managers lack innovation. And if they don't embrace PropTech, then they will certainly die. So there certainly has been an influx of several tech companies disrupting the property management space recently that promises to transform the old traditional real estate industry as we know it into a tech-enabled one. So today and tomorrow, we will introduce you to innovators, thought leaders of property management solutions that you need to consider to automate your business. So Real Estate Investor and WeConnectU have a common goal over the next 2 days to fast track you to PropTech in the property management space, and that there is faster adoption in the South African real estate sector. And more importantly, we will provide you with direction and the tools on how to build a scalable property management business. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our first speaker. He is the co-founder of WeConnectU. It's a leading property management software solutions company. They also happen to be the sponsors of today's masterclass. So a little bit of background about him. He matriculated at Paul Boys High. He studied at law at UNISA while playing professional rugby for the Blue Bulls, and then obtained his BCom law degree. And before he founded WeConnectU, he gained valuable experience in the property sector while being managing director of PropConnect, a company specializing in the management of sectional title and home owners associations. And he believes his success is largely determined by the impact and success one can create for others, which I think is a great mantra to have. Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Donnie van der Merwe. He's the co-founder of WeConnectU. And the topic he will be presenting today is the community management of the future, tech-enabled. So if you could all put your hands together, clap, and welcome Donnie van der Merwe. Donnie, over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Neil, for that kind intro. Neil, I'm afraid we might have lost some Stormer supporters with that intro, but let's hope that is not the case. We are really excited to be part of this event, and we really trust that the audience will gain some real value and some tangible takeaways to ultimately become more scalable property managers. So the topic today, building a scalable property management business. When I initially were thinking about the topic in preparation, it took me back about 7 years when I was still managing Prop Connect. And as shareholders, we would have regular meetings to ensure that we stay on track with our goals. And on most of these meetings, I was able to report positively on the fact that we have actually reached our unit growth goals. But there was always the issue of profitability. And it seemed like the more we grew the business, the more overheads, the overheads seemed to grow as well. And that was really, really frustrating. I mean, you've got a bigger business, you've got much more responsibilities and risks, but the bottom line is just not worth it. There's a good saying, the juice is just not worth the squeeze. And that's when I learned the difference between growth and scalability. So in this topic today, we're gonna cover a couple of things. We're gonna unpack this topic essentially. So firstly, we're gonna look at the business. We're gonna look at the basic fundamentals of a business, and then we're gonna gain understanding of the position of the property management business in this day and age. And then secondly, we're gonna look at the property manager's value. What is that value today and how can we expand on that? And then we're going to look at scalability. Exactly what is scalability? Why is scalability so important? How can we scale this business? And then lastly, I believe we as industry, we have to make a deal. So we're going to have to get to a point where as industry, we're going to really come together to take this business and this industry to a whole nother level. And I trust, like I said, based on all the slides we're going to share, that we all are going to come into agreement and we are going to make a deal. Let's start at this slide again. So basically, as I said, we're going to unpack this topic today. Firstly, we're going to look at the business. We're going to break it down into its basic fundamentals. And then we're going to gain understanding of the position of the property management business in this day and age. Secondly, we're going to look at the property manager's value. What is the value of the property manager today, and how can we possibly expand on that? And then we're going to look at scalability. Exactly what is scalability? Why is it so important? And how can we scale this business? And then lastly, we are going to make a deal. And this deal will be around how we as industry can create massive scalable businesses. Don't get me wrong, there's already amazing and scalable property management businesses out there, but I think a team effort can take this to a whole nother level. All right, so what is a business? Ultimately, a business is a promise, and it is a promise to solve a problem. And now to make this a scalable and a sustainable business, you need to be able to promise something, solve it, and do that consistently over a period of time. I think everybody would agree then that the greater and more complex the problem, the greater the need for the business, and one could also argue the more valuable that business is. The inverse, unfortunately, is also true. If there is no problem, or if the problem is really minute to solve, there is really no need for that business. So let's look at the problem in the context of the property management industry or company. Firstly, you've got trustees or directors that need to essentially run a company or run a body corporate. It's not their area of expertise. They have day job, mostly at least. They have no time, and there's actual real risks involved. And that is where the opportunity for the property manager comes in. Now, even though it's best practice to make use of professional management services, there were quite a few communities in the past who opted to be self-managed. But then the problem started expanding. Let's look at really only the last 5 years and how this problem and opportunity has been expanding for the property manager. The first one was 7 October 2016. I don't think that date is unknown for any property manager out there. I'm mentioning a couple of significant legislative changes that happened, and these changes increased the workload, the skill level to execute on this job, and it also introduced real risk to property managers and trustees. Yes, we can see on that last bullet, jail time or penalties could be the result of gross negligence. Then something that we call fiber, it's seemed to be old news already, came, and fiber installation challenges came across, and it seemed like we as property managers just took it in our stride. But I do remember initially the amount of hours or the numbers of hours that we actually spend to ensure our clients and communities make prudent decisions and are properly educated on this specific topic. I can also remember so many self-managed communities phoning our property management companies to say, listen, but how do we deal with this? It was just one more additional, I'd say, overhead in terms of time spent and a bit of complexity that was added to the market. Then it kept on expanding. Frequent utility challenges. The first one being drought. We saw, that is the Theewaterskloof Dam on the right there in the picture. We saw a drought coming, and it was in most places in South Africa, and it just brought all of that uncertainty and price fluctuations, municipal price fluctuations. And significant budget changes was required, which again required proper due diligence and communication to concerned owners in order to protect that community cash flow. And then we also had Eskom load shedding, and we still kind of in that, and Eskom left us all in the dark, and it was up to the property manager to keep that light shining at the end of the tunnel. And the problem kept on expanding. Most recently, we had COVID-19, and just to give you one practical example of how COVID-19 has affected just in terms of mail sent. So throughout our system, if you take the period March last year, at that point in time, we would have sent around 500,000 mails per month through our system. And only during the 3 or 4 days when lockdown was announced, we sent more than 1.2 million mails through our system. And that is our property managers trying to educate everybody on how, what, where to navigate themselves through the COVID-19 pandemic. And I must say, it hasn't, the amount of mails hasn't gone down really. There's continual education needed to navigate through this problem and pandemic. The next one, actually on exactly the same day, 27 March 2020, South Africa were placed in junk status. Now, it has already been a concern for so long, and it already added to the overhead of people not paying their levies and the property manager having to chase after those debts to protect the cash flow of their clients and communities. And then we've got the POPI Act. So this year, before 30 June 2021, all communities and property managers must have their POPI Act together. Now, I know Talita will expand on this topic, and she will help us not to see this as a problem, but it is yet another complexity added to the plate of the property manager or then the self-managed trustee. Now, while we have these problems expanding, we also have a massively growing industry. Property in the sectional title and homeowners associations are the fastest growing sectors in the property sectors in South Africa. And what's driving this is urbanisation, obviously security. We all are concerned about crime, so we want to live in secure complexes. Economic pressures forces us really to kind of share costs between each other. And then there's a trend to live in smaller spaces. People want lock up and go, and people want flexibility. And what we see is this growing problem with a massively growing industry has brought an unbelievable business opportunity to the property manager. We are seeing a huge migration from self-managed communities to professionally manage communities, which is awesome for the property manager. Without any doubt, because of the complexity, there's higher barriers to entry into the industry, which is also good for the property manager. And the bigger the problems, the bigger the value contribution. So the property manager is valued more, or should be worth more today than yesterday. Without any doubt, this also brings about a more sustainable and long-term business model. And COVID-19 actually officially made the property manager essential. So I think we can all agree that you, the property manager, have become significantly more valuable as the problem have become significantly bigger, and it keeps on expanding. Now, your increased value, I believe, is an absolute fact. I think we should have unanimous agreement on that. But the real question that needs some debate is, why are property managers not getting paid more today than, say, 5 years ago? Because I hear so many property managers say that they are quoting the same today than what they did 5 years ago. Now, I read a good book a couple of years ago, and I got this quote from it, and it really just stuck with me, is you get paid in relation to the value that you bring to the marketplace. You get paid in relation to the value that you bring to the marketplace. Now, I'd like to strategically add one little word to this sentence, and that is you get paid in relation to the perceived value you bring to the marketplace. Which brings us to the million-dollar question: why are property managers not getting paid in relation to their increased value today? So the first question is, what is that current perceived value? What is it that trustees and homeowners think that we do for them? And we did a bit of a poll and we asked around, and the common thread is they think we send levy statements, we cover the 3 Ps, we police pets, parking and people, and we take minutes. That is just the average thought of a trustee and an owner out there of what we're currently doing for them. And here's the thing, we can get paid more and earn more if the perceived value we bring is more. So how can we create more value today? The first thing is we need to define the need. We said if there's no need, there is no business. So let's really define that need that we need to solve. Secondly, we need to define, and in our example, maybe redefine our value proposition. Then we need to take the time to solve that problem or that need. And then we need to ensure that we communicate our value properly. So the first one, step one, is we need to define the need. And this is really, what are that services that directors and trustees need in order to manage their business? I'm going to mention a few. I've got no doubt that property managers know this even better than me, but they need legal and procedural guidance. Good example, there's meetings. They want accurate financial management. They want tasks to be followed through to completions. There's maintenance tasks, insurance claims, there's meeting minute actions, and then there's a bunch of ad hoc things like fiber, COVID-19 that poses more tasks on the table of the property manager. Then they want valuable and time-use communication. We always say communication, communication, communication. In property management, we need to up it 2 levels. We need to be valuable and time-use, solve problems while communicating. And then we have our client needs comprehensive reporting. I'm sure there's some clients out there, and I've heard that said quite a bit, is, you know what, the less I communicate to my clients, the less issues, I have. I think it's a changing trend, but we will cover this specific topic also a bit later. And then on top of all of that, they want a caring relationship. So that is the need. The second thing is we need to define our value proposition. And this is what the trustees and directors really want. Now, what I'm going to propose, I've never in my 10 years in the industry heard a trustee specifically ask for this, but this is what I believe, at least a very good suggestion, what the property manager's value proposition needs to be. The first thing that we do is we secure and enhance the value of the biggest asset most people will own in their lifetime. If we mess this up, most people will not recover. So we are in control together with the trustees to secure and enhance the value of the biggest asset most people will own in their lifetime. Secondly, create preferred and enjoyable places of residence. Now, if we think about it, this is where we spend most of our life. This is where we make memories with our friends, with our families, and the property manager has got a really big part to play to create this preferred and enjoyable places of residence. And then thirdly, they want professional and transparent property management practices. Professional, it's just assumed it has to be. Transparency definitely has been more valued in the last years, and it's just for the obvious reason. The business model we've shown already has got the trustees and the directors working on their own jobs, and they want at any given point in time, when it is convenient for them, to log in on a portal or whatever the case may be and see the detail of what's happening in the business that they are ultimately responsible for. So then step number 3 is we need to take the time to solve the problem or the need. Now, time is the equalizer because we all only get 24 hours in the day to create value. So how we spend it will be the differentiator. Now, based on the slides above, the demand on the property manager is increasing, but we still only get 24 hours in the day. So the question really is it possible for us to create or buy more time? And thank goodness the answer is yes, we need to become more tech-enabled. What tech will be able to do for us already and increasingly so in the coming years is we will be able to automate our world to a large degree. Secondly, we need to bring in efficiencies in processes and workflows. I'm thinking of aligning bank accounts. It's a massive efficiency booster in the world of the property manager. We need intelligent dashboards and reporting. We obviously manage a lot of communities, and if you cannot measure something, you cannot manage it, and therefore you cannot improve it. So intelligent dashboards is something that is an absolute requirement for efficiency going forward. Then we need all the different stakeholders and departments to be able to collaborate on one platform. That will boost efficiency and unnecessary back and forth mails between each other to a large degree, and obviously buy us more time. Artificial intelligence is definitely a buzzword, and I believe it will be more so in the property management game in the coming years as data is more available, and we can build on artificial intelligence from there. And then lastly, IoT, Internet of Things. Good example here is, wouldn't it be amazing if we never have a Friday night burst geyser anymore? Internet of Things, typically we would put a sensor in a geyser, and that will alert us as the pressure mounts, and prior to that burst, we will know, and we can be able to stop that from happening, curb that and have an awesome Friday night with our families. Wouldn't that be awesome? And then step number 4 is we need to ensure that we communicate our value. We always say that value not communicated is value not perceived. And one of the biggest disasters is value created but not communicated. Secondly, what is your message? If you're going to communicate, what is your message? Let's think about that message. And the question really is, are you currently, without knowing it, reinforcing the perception that you manage the 3 Ps: pets, parking, and people. So we believe there's going to be a very big shift in the market. It's going to be away from just a property administrator that manages 3 Ps: police, pets, and parking. And we're going to see the asset manager evolve and come to light, which he ultimately is, which property managers ultimately is, securing and enhancing asset value and creating preferred places of residence in a professional and transparent way. Now, this big shift, we believe, will be led by scalable businesses. And there's a very good reason why it will be led, actually an obvious reason why it will be led by scalable businesses. But let's first define scalability. Firstly, scalability in the world of a property management business refers to the ability to adapt, particularly regarding growth and increased demand. Secondly, it's the ability for multiple departments or stakeholders to collaborate seamlessly on one platform. And the bottom line is the same team must now have the time to do more. So why is scalability important? Firstly, it contributes massively to competitiveness. Why? Because you have more time to adapt and obviously create more value. It adds to efficiency and ultimately also to quality. And it's also the key to sustainability. Now, if we consider the previous slides and the topic of changing that perceived value in the mind of the trustee, if we think we will not necessarily be able to change that perceived value over time, then building a scalable business is an absolute requirement and key to sustainability in this industry. Then lastly, it's also the key to profitable growth. As my intro stated, that it's relatively easy because of the industry growing and the massive amount of need in the industry that you could grow your units. But scalability is all about profitable growth, which is really what business is all about. There needs to be a profit and a need that is ultimately solved. So let's look at an example, a great example, probably one of the best examples of a business that really has a scalable business model. That example today is the example of McDonald's. Now, I have to say that McDonald's is a product-based business versus property management being more service-based business, but I think we need to still take the principles of how McDonald's became so scalable from them. The first thing is that they offer a highly defined value proposition. It is so defined that they can actually take a picture, put it on a billboard, and we can look at it. And if we order that specific piece of value proposition, it looks exactly as it looks on the billboard. So firstly and foremostly, we need a highly defined value proposition. And then we need to ensure that whatever this value proposition is that we communicate is that it's very duplicatable. And then thirdly is they've gone and they've automated systems and processes to align and consistently produce this defined value that they promise. So another interesting fact that we have learned from McDonald's is that a customer associates consistency to a large degree also with quality. Now, I'm not here to say McDonald's tastes great or not, but I think what we can see is that, you know what, they promise something and they deliver on exactly that. And because people value consistency and knowing what they're going to get, they many a day choose McDonald's maybe over some other burger place that they're not always sure what they're going to get. So what is the tools for scalability? I'm going to go through the past, the present, and then the future. So the past, was limited and individual solutions. And this was definitely where I was at back in 2014-15 when I was running PropConnect. So you basically would have some kind of a financial module, and then you would have obviously some financial reporting coming from that. And then I would have a host of other solutions to kind of help me and assist me to do the rest of my task. But it was all disjointed. It was all in different silos, and to really be scalable was very, very difficult. As I said, the more we grew, the more overheads seemed to grow as well. We've made massive leaps to the present, and where we are today is where it is end-to-end solutions. And that solution looks something like this. This custom-built financial model, custom-built for the industry. Then we've got this layer called a bulk financial processing module. Reason being, we can't be processing only within individual entities or communities. Clients that's got 400 plus communities, it'll just take forever, and it's absolutely not scalable. Then we mentioned the whole need for debt collection and notifying people that fall into arrears due to junk status and economic challenges. Those modules need to be integrated with the solution as well. And then all the operational workflows, whether it's the jobs, warnings and penalties, transfers, communication, compliance, planners, utilities, document storage, all of those operations need to also be integrated, and presently is integrated for property managers to use. We've mentioned we need to invite all the stakeholders as well into this ecosystem. So we've got trustee logins, we've got homeowner logins, complex manager logins, auditors and debt collectors. Everybody can already log in and come and essentially add to this working solution that we need to give for the property manager. Because everything is in one system, we now can build and have built intelligent dashboards. And like we said, we need these dashboards to be able to make quick and prudent decisions, also measure performance and improve performance. And lastly, because everything basically that the property manager does can now be reported on with a click of one button. And this is where we can really start to communicate our value, because what we've done is all done in one place on one end-to-end solution, and it makes it much easier to communicate that value, which is so critically important. But the future is even more exciting. The future will be your end-to-end solution within an end-to-end ecosystem. There will always be more third-party solutions, specialized solutions that will be needed. And we're going to touch on a couple of them in no particular order. But debt collection, we've covered it a little bit, where debt collection companies can actually become part of our ecosystem. And instead of us going back and forth, emailing back and forth, let's all come into one place, one ecosystem, and work together. Most property managers also manage rentals, and to have that integrated as well will significantly increase efficiencies. Then debit orders and pay now buttons. We said that in tough economic times, we need to preserve cash flow and make it easy for people to pay. But whilst we're making it easier for them to make payment, we should not burden the property manager even more for the processing thereof. So an integrated ecosystem for that as well will create ultimate efficiencies. Online meeting module. That's probably the silver lining of COVID. What COVID has done is really fast track the online meeting world. I think most trustees in the past was kind of against it. They thought they still wanted to meet in person, but now online meetings is something that is here, and it is here to stay, without any doubt, making the property managers world much easier. I mean, having meetings in the comfort of your own home is obviously much better than driving in different places at the night. But obviously tools will be needed to really make it seamless and professional. Then we've got utilities management. I'm going to go a little bit faster. We can integrate banks and investment accounts. Valuations, now something that has to happen every 3 years, that can be automated. access control as well. We've got all the data in the initial end-to-end solution, so why not make access and visitor management so much easier? Insurance claims can be processed through an integrated environment. Contractors and suppliers' feedback can also now be within this ecosystem. And ultimately, we need to put something in the homeowner's app so that he has the value in his hand without having to phone or ask the property manager every time he needs to do so. So that is the future. It's happening, and it's happening really fast. So let's look at the past versus the future. And I think if we look to the left, I've got personal experience on the left, highly unscalable. It's doable, but it's highly, highly unscalable. And to the right, again, I don't have to elaborate too much on this, but if we can have all of these specific disciplines automated, end-to-end solution, everybody speaking to each other, real time, that is what's going to bring scalability to the property management business. So lastly, how can we then build scalable property management business? And this is where I believe we all need to make a deal. As industry, we need to make a deal. And the first thing we have to do is we need to define our value proposition. And it is definitely not that we are 3P managers. We are asset managers creating preferred places of residence in a professional and a transparent way. Secondly, we need to eliminate those wrong perceptions. And then we have to eliminate time wasters. So I've learned now how you eliminate time wasters from a couple of clients in the industry. And what they do is, as they get new business in, they basically go back and have a look at what is the current business they have that is actually not profitable and that does not fall in line with this new perception that we are trying to create. And basically they put those clients on terms. And guys, the great news is in most cases, you don't lose that business. The business stays with you, but on your terms. And then thirdly, we need to automate. We need to automate systems. We need to automate processes as much as we can so that we can buy more time in order to focus on those income generating activities. And then lastly, we need to leverage. We need to leverage and duplicate that scalable value proposition that you have designed. Thank you very much, everybody. I trust that you got some tangible value. And Neil, thank you very much.